world is being run by unhealed 5 to 7 year olds. This is a comment I made on a post a couple years ago. It was probably a comment that I got more interaction with than ever before. And why that was important to me was because it really signaled a theme of a topic, a awareness, a cultural thought of mine that in many ways encapsulates so much of what I've been thinking about for so long. And one of the things you'll hear me talk about is that our opportunity here in living a really beautiful life and really living our full life is to pay attention to what we're curious about, is to pay attention to the things that hold our attention, because it's signaling to us what we're here to be a part of, to potentially lead, to learn more about, to be the voice of. It's a dramatic statement to say that the world is being run by unhealed 5 to 7 year olds, but really it's not just the people that we think are running the world, it's all of us. There is a inner operating system in every single human being. And even though are in this place of another industrial revolution called AI, we've sent people to different parts of the universe. We have all of this insight and knowledge, and yet some of these most important and fundamental things we have not addressed. And what I mean by that is that we have an inner operating system that is running every one of us. It's unique to us, and there's obviously lots of overlap and parallels, but we're not taught about this. We're taught how to have good grammar. We're taught how to do multiplication. We're taught some abridged version of history. We're taught many things, but we're not taught our own physiology, psychology, biology. There's so many parts of who we are. Our personality, which is really our personal reality and how we show up in the world, has been created by all of the things that have happened to us and what we made them mean. Those are our stories. Those are our belief system. And what's running in every single human is that system, that orchestration of how that has been metabolized by you. And unless you've put a lens on that, unless you've looked at that, unless you've done healing work, you are living and managing yourself at the reaction of that. Because that's called our nervous system. But biases, all of that comes from all of the parts of us that become who we are that is unconscious. When you're little, when you're a child, when you're an infant, your brain is trying to understand everything. And so it's making decisions before you even realize. It's making meaning out of everything. And that might be in relationship to how you felt. That might be in relationship to what you saw, what you felt about what you saw, what you thought the people around you that maybe you felt connected to or you felt safe, how you interpreted what they felt. You might have taken that on. You might see it a totally different way. There's no two snowflakes alike. We all have a different fingerprint because we are unique, and there is a human condition here. A lot of the things that we talk about and we say, like a negativity bias or how different things function inside humans, a lot of that is, I believe, accurate, but it's also predicated on things that we have not evolved. The fact that we have a negativity bias, I would offer, is also because we have not shifted that as a society, as a humanity, so that we actually shift how we think about that, how we see the world, how we relate to things. Otherwise, why would there's an awareness that we are drawn to negativity. There's clickbait. That's what's working inside social media. Yes. What also works is when there's a beautiful post about children or about animals, something meaningful, some really beautiful story. That also pulls us in. That also draws us in. That's also creating a relationship with other parts of ourselves, not just the part of us that has a negativity bias. What I'm offering here is this opportunity to consider, what would the world look like if more humans were connected to their inner operating system, if you understood how you functioned, if you understood how you became who you are, if you learned how to self-soothe, if you learned how to heal yourself, if you knew actually that you could, if you knew that you could actually heal yourself, You could be there for yourself. All the things that we think we need from others. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't communicate and connect with others, but the things that we rely on with others, they'll never be able to fill that need, because what we're really looking for is something that only we can give ourselves, especially after we become a certain age. There's so many examples of that I don't know that I'm going to get into right now. And what I'm offering is that you have an inner operating system that's running your life. It's layered. It's made up of many of the things that I've already mentioned. And if there's something in your life that you want to be creating or you want to be happening, if there's some part of your life that is not the way you want it, if there's a dream you have or even a grievance or a challenge that you're experiencing, all of that is something that you have you have the capability to shift, to address, to be with. And the parts of you that are challenged by that or stuck with that is only underdeveloped. It's not that it doesn't exist, but understanding how your brain works, not just in some TEDx talk, but actually applying it to yourself and understanding more about the main themes of your life, the stories that you picked up that became significant drivers in who you are and how you relate to the world. That is that inner architecture. And there's so much power in knowing what that is. That is how you become a fully empowered being, because you start to see more of yourself, see your humanity with compassion, bring in that neutral observer so that you can actually see it without getting caught in any kind of right, wrong judgment making, because that is an overdeveloped part of our brain and that's not necessary. I'm inviting you to be like a social scientist and consider, what are the big themes? What are the big beliefs that you picked up as a child? What would you consider are your morals, your values? Because that's going to be connecting you to the beliefs that you picked up. And then my question for you with that is, how's that working for you? You know, it's a great way to audit what is really working for you, what feels aligned for you, what feels congruent for you right now, because we're shifting and growing all the time. And what do you need to update? And wherever you feel stuck, wherever you feel hurt, wherever you feel physical pain in your body, it's usually connected to emotional, to mental states. There's healing there. And the only reason why that might feel uncomfortable or scary is because you were born into a world that has not evolved in that way. But it's a very basic thing. These general things that come as part of a human life, because they are so typical, like trauma and pain and generational patterns and trauma, all of that is part of being a human being. So the only reason why that's scary is because some part of our society at large has not shifted that norm. Why can't it be a norm that we actually all know how to heal ourselves? Why can't it be a norm that when we're growing up and we're in grade school, we're learning what's happening in our body in third grade, in fourth grade, in fifth grade, and so on and so forth? What if that was a standard part of our education? What if that became so normal that every system, every industry, every organization had that as a principle, unquestioned? It was just normal. Like how we ever got to having a 40-hour work week, this understanding about how humans work, no stigma, no calling it soft skills, no having iterations that are acceptable to only certain people, but actually having an awareness of what's true, that how a mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual makeup that every human being possesses, and how that impacts the group, how that impacts the collective, because it impacts the individual. And release the stigmas, release the generalizations, release the made up stuff like we can't fix this or we can't change this or we can't update this, all the ways that we've made this part of being human so scary and so unattainable. People avoid healing themselves because as a humanity, we have not updated our collective relationship with knowing who you are as a human being and what is your responsibility. What do you have dominion over? What are you capable of? We haven't normalized that. We've stigmatized it. We've trivialized it. I don't know off the top of my head, but the personal growth industry is $1 billion, multi-billion dollars. Why? because we're seeking relief. We're seeking, it's not just about making yourself better because you're not enough. We're seeking a deeper level of understanding. Some people go really deep and become philosophers and go on their path and go hang out in their mountaintop. Some people do it through nature. Some people do it through their arts and their creativity. But what is universal is the human consciousness, and that we all have a human life, and a human life is orchestrated of many things that are often consistent across lives. The way they play out, the environment, the values, the cultural norms within your group might be different, but the experience, the unfolding, how the personality is created is fairly consistent. So then we have a lot of people that are just avoiding healing, and they're staying stuck in their pain, and unconsciously so. And we have people in power that are deeply wounded. So this is not just focused at people in power, but to me, it's an explanation. People are not born, for the most part. I think there are people born sociopaths. I don't have the evidence of that. But most people are not born like that. We become who we are. And until we start to employ a recognition of the opportunity we have to understand our own human development, it's like getting a life without an operating manual. It's the most unbelievable thing that still happens, as far as I'm concerned. And if we were to shift that as a society, we would literally be applying known knowledge and insight, research. We would be applying it and shifting what becomes part of our own evolution. It's not just shifting consciousness, it's shifting the 3D experience of the human. Not quite sure how to end this video except to say that I had to experience this very beautiful wall while I was here. I happened upon it as I'm coming back to my car, getting some work done off-site. And I'm just curious how this landed. How does this land for you? What part of your awareness of self have you not looked at? Where does it hurt? Where do you have healing? How might your life shift? How might the world be different if this idea of knowing how to heal ourselves wasn't just something that you had to go to a doctor and get a diagnosis, but you actually knew more about yourself and it was normalized and there wasn't all this shame and all this secrecy? These are the things I've been thinking about for as long as I can remember. And it's taken me a little bit of time to finally get out here and articulate them, but more to come. My name is Jennifer Herrera. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate you so much. Until next time.